Hello, welcome to the Way of Mastery. Welcome to the Way of Mastery here on Facebook Live. I'm Earl Purdy, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Way of Mastery. We're going to do a section from the Way of Mastery that's called Desire is Everything. Desire is everything. So where does the place of desire, what place does desire have in the manifestation of the happiness and the peace that we want in our lives? What place does desire have in bringing about what we would like to experience? Yes. What place does desire have in bringing about what we would like to experience? What place does desire have? I want you to think about that. I want you to think about that right now. What place does desire, what role does desire play in bringing about what we would like to experience? We're going to cover that in the Way of Mastery. We're going to cover that in the Way of Mastery. Let me get you up so that I can follow you and see your comments, which I can't really do until I actually start the broadcast. So let's get you up. And remember, we want to answer that question. What place does desire have? Page 44 in the Way of Mastery. What I want you to remember is you need not believe the ideas. I say you need not believe the ideas. And you need not accept the ideas. Say what? You need not believe the ideas. And you need not accept the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. You need not accept the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. You need not even welcome the ideas. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. I say some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may actively resist. Some of the ideas you may find hard to believe. I say some of the ideas you may find hard to believe, and others may seem to be quite startling, and others may seem to be quite startling. You are not asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. You are not asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. Judging and analyzing the ideas will not help. So I'm Earl Purdy, the Divine Repetition Teacher. My goal is to share this in such a way that it drills it home so that we will hear it and not forget it and remember it. Those who join this mastery group, we're trying to hear the thoughts and remember the thoughts. So you are not being asked to judge and analyze the ideas at all. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. Using it, welcoming my mighty companions. I see you coming online and I'm excited about that. Their use will give the ideas meaning to you and will show you that the ideas are true. We're going to be on page 44 in the Way of the Heart, in the Way of Mastery. The section that we're going to cover as much as we can in the next hour is Desire is Everything, which equals die, which is interesting. D-I-E. Desire is everything. So I'm going to read through the paragraph in a funky way, and then we're going to go back through it and see what it's saying. All right, here we go. I hope you're ready. Are you ready? I'm ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Listen to me. Take a moment right now. Take a moment right now and let the body relax. And let the body relax. Take a moment right now. Take a moment right now and let the body relax. Let the body relax. Imagine that you can move back from being the actor in the play of your life to being the director and producer. See yourself as what? The director and producer in the play of your life. Imagine you're sitting in your studio and you are editing the story of your life. Imagine that you are in a studio editing the play of your life. You are looking at all your little clips from the time you were birthed. You're watching your life from the time you went to kindergarten. You are watching back and you're looking at the clips of your life and you're seeing where you first fell in love. You're seeing the first time you decided to go to a movie. You're looking back over the clips of your life. You're the editor, the director, and you're looking at the time when you took off to college, or the time you took a job, or this job, or that job, or the time you moved to another physical location. You imagine you're looking at your entire life like it's a film that you have to edit. Look closely, and see if it is not true. See if it's not true that for every action you've ever done, see if it's not true that for every action you've ever done, for every decision you've ever made, after trying to analyze what? Every action you've ever done and every decision that you've ever made, after you try to analyze it all, is there not underneath all of it the energy of desire? When you look back over your life, you are the director and the producer. You're looking back over your life as if it was a film, and you're looking at a series of film clips, right? And when you really look at it, is there not underneath it all the energy of desire? The energy of desire. In truth, you do not lift the body from your couch to go to the refrigerator without the desire to eat. It's the desire to eat that makes you get up and go to the refrigerator to get something to eat. Something is calling you. Something has to call you into an expression of action. So what is it that calls you to express some kind of action? What is it that calls you to express some kind of action? It is desire. It's desire. It's desire. It's my desire to do this class that calls me into the action of getting everything set up so that I can look at all of you luscious, juicy, mighty companions. No one enters into an intimate relationship without the energy of desire. So, what is it that gets you to get in that relationship that has you pulling your hair out sometime? It was the energy of desire. It was the energy of desire. What is it that prompted you to enter into an intimate relationship with someone that you were thrilled to be with? It was the energy of desire. For what two have ever looked upon one another and said, I don't feel any desire whatsoever, but let's get married and have children and raise a family? Who is it that has never had any kind of desire that would turn around and say to another person, I don't feel any desire whatsoever, but let's get married, let's have children, let's raise a family? Do you hear me, Marina? Do you hear me, Demola? Do you hear me, Quana? Do you hear me, Rhonda? Do you hear me, Jim? Do you hear me, Emily? Do you hear me, Julia? Do you hear me, Latricia? Do you hear me, Kim? Do you hear me, CJ? Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Desire is that energy. That it is what? It is desire is that energy which brings forth all waves of creation out of the depth of the ocean itself. So what is it that brings forth creation? If you say you want to feel creation, if you say you want to know creation, what is the energy? What is the energy? The energy is the energy of desire. Desire. And yet, it says, who among you has not felt conflicted about desire? Haven't you ever had any conflicts about your desires? I've had conflict about my desires. Have you ever had desires that you felt some conflict about? And who among you hasn't been taught that there's something wrong with desire? Sometimes you read some spiritual books and it looks like they'll tell you that there's something wrong with you having desire. That's what's so interesting. You'll read some spiritual books and it'll say, whatever you do, don't have any desire. And then you read other spiritual books like The Way of Mastery, and what do they tell you? It says it's desire that's caused you to do anything that you are doing. Who among you has not been taught not to desire to be great? How many of you have been told, don't have the desire to be great? Don't have the desire to be great? No, I don't want you to have the desire to be great. Who's ever told you that? Who among you has not been taught that the desire for material comfort is some sort of a blot on the spiritual path? How many of you have heard that to have any kind of material wealth or abundance or prosperity, somehow or another that delays your spiritual progress if you allow yourself to have some type of material comfort? How many of you have heard that if you try to give yourself any type of material comfort, some kind of way, that's going to delay your spiritual progress? Well, I want you to look at what? I want you to look well within your soul. Look within your soul and see if this isn't true. That sometimes we've been told, don't desire, if you don't have desire for sex or material comfort or anything of the world, or that's going to delay your comfort. We've all been told all kinds of things about desire and desires. Now, mighty companion, I would like to ask you to take a moment to share this video. Right next to comments, write a comment. It says share. So I would really appreciate it very much if you would just take a moment to share this video on your timeline right now or in some group. Let's spread the word. So are you with me? Are you with me? So let's go a little further. It says in the next paragraph, have you not feared at times the welling up of desire within you? Sometimes have you ever become afraid of your desires? Have you ever had a desire that frightened you? I've had desires that have frightened me. I've had desires for people that has absolutely frightened me. Sometimes I've desired a relationship with a person so much that the intensity of my desire frightened me. Have you ever had a desire that you were afraid about? For as you look upon your plain, Yeshua says, as I look upon your plain, there are many who become paralyzed with fear just because they desire to have a bowl of ice cream. There are people that just because I want to have a bowl of ice cream, because I want to eat a sandwich, I'm afraid I know I shouldn't eat that bowl of ice cream. If I eat that bowl of ice cream, I'm going to weigh 200 pounds. So afraid are those people of just to desire a bowl of ice cream that if they give in to that desire, if they actually do give in to that desire, and they have all that fear and guilt around that desire, the Way of Mastery says something in the ice cream will cause their body to bloat and their brain to cease functioning. So afraid are they that if they give in to that desire, something in the ice cream will cause their body to bloat and their brain to cease functioning. That's what a person that sometimes is afraid to just eat a bowl of ice cream. They think that their body is going to bloat, and they think that somehow or another their brain will cease functioning just because they want a bowl of ice cream. So listen to me. Listen to me. For those of you in intimate relationship, do you know I'm talking to those of you who are in intimate relationship? Marriage or commitment of some kind. Any of you that's in a marriage or commitment of some kind. How many of you have not carried the belief? Now listen to me. How many of you have not carried the belief taught to you by the world that if you feel the energy of desire, If you feel the energy of the desire welling up in you when you look at someone who is not your partner, that somehow you've sinned against God. How many of you have been taught, those of you that are in an intimate, committed relationship right now, have you been taught that if you have any kind of desire for anybody other than your partner, that you have somehow sinned against God and you've committed some kind of sin just because you felt a desire come up in you for someone other than your partner? How many of you do not know the experience of trying to rein in the 10,000 horses of your desire? So sure that if you gave in to that feeling of desire, that everything would soon run amok. How many of you have been trying to control your desires? How many of you feel like you got to control your desires and you will just run amok if you don't control your desires? How many of you feel like you've been trying to repress some desire that you have, because if you express that desire, you feel like something horrible or bad would happen to you? And that your attempt to keep your life structured, rigid, and predictable would collapse and all hell would break loose. How many of you feel like you got to keep everything under real tight, rigid control, or else all hell will break loose? How many of you are fighting some desire that if you thought you acted out that desire, all hell would break loose? What about you, Julia? What about you, Quana? What about you, Paris, Emily, Diane, CJ, Renew? Have you ever had that desire? And it's okay to have the desire to meet God. We're just talking about how desire is everything. And so I say unto you, I'm going to say this to you. Listen to me. Listen to me. It says, would you exist if God had feared the desire to create and extend love by forming you? In other words, would you exist if God didn't desire for you to exist? Would you exist if God was afraid for you to exist? Something desired you to exist. Something desired you to exist. You exist because something wants you to exist. You exist because God desired that you exist. Think about that. Be with that just for a minute. You are existing right now because something desired it. You would not exist right now if something had not desired for you to exist. At the same time, giving you infinite freedom of choice. So there was something that desired you to exist, and the thing that desired you to exist also gave you freedom of choice. You were created because something wanted you to exist, but you were also given the freedom to choose. You were given the freedom to choose. You have the freedom of choice. You have the freedom of choice. So without desire, I want you to just look around you right now, and I want you to keep in mind that without desire, not only would you see nothing, there would be nothing to do the seeing. If you didn't have desire, you wouldn't see anything, and without desire, you wouldn't be here to try to see anything. Everything is the effect of desire. 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 Everything is everything is the effect of desire. Everything is the effect of desire. Everything is the effect of desire. Everything is the result of desire. Everything is the effect of desire. That's what everything is. The effect of desire. Everything you see is the effect of desire. Everything is the effect of desire. I just said that you have freedom. You have the freedom to choose. You have the freedom to choose. Come then to see that desire is not evil. 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 Having desires, desire is not evil. Desire is not to be feared. Stop being afraid of your desires. Stop being afraid of your desires. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid of your desires. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid. Stop being afraid of your desires. Desire is to be mastered. Desire is to be mastered. So what are you to do with your desires? What are you to do with your desires? That's right, Emily. Desire does not make you bad. Jim, having desire is not evil. Renew, desire is not of the ego. What's the ego is the part of you that would use a desire for fear. That's what would make a desire of the ego. If the desire would bring you fear, if the desire would bring you separation and guilt, that's when the desire would be of the ego. Desire is neutral. It's what you want to desire something for. Desire is to be mastered. Desire is not to be feared. Now take a breath right now. Mastery is not control. Marina, you say I feel like I have no desires, but what I'm learning is that what I'm experiencing now is a reflection of your desires. That's right. It's no such thing as you don't have anybody. It's no such thing as you don't have a desire, because everything in your life and everything that you are experiencing and seeing is the result of desire. You are watching this broadcast because what you desire to. You are listening to me right now because you desire to. There is nothing that's happening in your experience that is not the result of desire. Mastery is not control. For control, the need to control is an effect of the energy of fear. If you have the desire to control everything, that is the energy of fear, not love. Trying to control everybody and everything, that is fear. Trying to control everybody and everything, that is the energy of fear, not love. Fear, not love. Mastery of desire. When do you achieve mastery of desire? Mastery of desire comes when you recognize that you are safe to feel whatever wave of desire might come up through your consciousness. So how do you master desire? When you recognize that you are safe to feel whatever desire comes up. You are safe to feel whatever desire comes up. You will start to master your desires when you recognize that you are safe when you feel a desire. Because you decide. What is it that you decide? You decide whether or not you will act on the desire. So, it's safe to have any desire that you want. Never be afraid of having any desire, no matter what that desire is. Why? Because it's up to you whether or not you act on the desire. Just because you have a desire doesn't mean that you are going to act on that desire. So don't be afraid of your desires, because it's up to you to decide whether you're going to act on that desire. Just because you have a desire, that doesn't mean that you are going to express that desire. So don't be afraid of having a desire. Just have any kind of desire you want. Feel that desire, recognize that desire, but then you have to decide whether or not you're going to act on that desire. You could have the desire to rob a bank. You don't have to be afraid of your desire to rob a bank, because you can decide not to act on that desire and rob a bank. So there's no need to be afraid of your desires. You could have a desire to hook up with somebody, but you don't have to be afraid of that desire, because it's up to you to decide whether you're going to act on that desire. Whether you will bring that desire into the field of manifestation. You are the one that decides, along with your greater higher self, whether you're going to bring that desire into manifestation. So what is my point? My point is, in order to master desires, you have to recognize that you don't need to be afraid of your desires, because just because you have a desire doesn't mean that you're going to do it. It doesn't mean that you're going to manifest it. So you don't have to be afraid of just having the desire. You see what I mean? The next paragraph says, the power of choice, the power of choice. What power? The power of choice. What power? The power of choice is the one power that can never be taken from you. So what is the one power that you can never lose? What is the one power that you can never lose? What is the one power that you can never lose? It is the power of choice. It is the power of choice. Marina, what's the one power you can never lose? The power of choice. Renew, what's the one power you can never lose? Quana, what's the one power you can never lose? Macy, what is the one power you can never lose? Irene, what's the one power you can never lose? Kim, what's the one power you can never, ever lose? Mighty Companion, what's the one power you can never lose? Repeat after me. The one power that I can never lose is the power of choice. The power of choice. The one power that I can never lose is the power of choice. The power of choice. The one power that you can never lose is the power of choice. The power of choice. The one power that you can never lose is the power of choice. The power of choice. You already have perfect mastery of the power of choice. Why is it that you already have perfect mastery of the power of choice? Because nothing you ever experience, what did you say? Nothing you ever experience comes to you without your decision. What? What did you say? Nothing that you ever experience comes to you without your decision to allow it into the field of manifestation. Whether you realize it or not, whether you believe it or not, nothing ever comes into your experience without, at some level, your decision to allow it into the field of manifestation. Remember, no matter what your reaction to the ideas, use the ideas. So what does that mean? What does that mean? It means desire is something that wells up from the depth within. Desire is something that wells up from the depth beyond yourself, that can be looked at with perfect innocence and with the wonder of a child. What is desire? Desire is something that wells up from beyond the depth, from the depth beyond yourself, that can be looked at with perfect innocence and with the wonder of a child. What does that mean? It means the very act of turning to allow and welcome desire is not something that will sidetrack you from the path of awakening. Allowing yourself to welcome desire is not going to sidetrack you from the path of your spiritual awakening. Having desires are not going to sidetrack you from the path of spiritual awakening. Having desires it's not going to sidetrack you. If you get a slap, anything, the word everything means all of it. Everything is the result of your desire, even if you don't know it. It didn't say you were going to always be aware of everything that you desire. It just said everything comes from desire. So everything. That's what makes this so challenging, is that what it says is so opposite to what we've been taught. I know you want to feel like there are some things that happen to you that were not your desire. It's okay if you want to feel like there are some things that happen to you that were not your desire, but it's just not true. And I know you can point out a bunch of stuff that happened that may be horrible things, things that you couldn't imagine that you would have desired. But I'm sorry, you are at a stage of development in your spiritual path, and everybody isn't ready for it yet. But you are. You are, because you're listening to this. That means that you are at the point in your spiritual awakening that you're ready to hear deeper and deeper truths. And some of those truths are challenging. Nobody promised that everything that you were going to hear on the way of knowledge was going to be something that you necessarily wanted to hear. So if you think that you're going to like everything you hear as you begin to wake up spiritually, you're going to be in for a rough time. You're going to hear some things you just flat don't want to believe. Okay, let's just be clear about that. You're going to hear some things that startle you and are hard to believe. And one of those things is that every single thing that happens to you is the result of desire. Even if it looks like it's the desire that someone else had to do that thing to you, it still happened as a result of desire. So it says, desire is not going to sidetrack you from the path of awakening, but it says desire will take you vertically into the heart of God. Desire will take you vertically into the heart of God. Desire will vertically take you into the heart of God. For if you are to ever create as God creates, if you are ever to create as God creates, what will you need to do if you're going to ever create the way that God creates? What are you going to have to do if you're going to ever create the way God creates? Well, if you ever are going to create the way love creates, you will need to heal your conflicted perceptions about desire. You will need to let go of all the conflicts that you have about desire if you're ever going to create like God creates. You cannot be a creator and always be in conflict and fear about the idea of desires. Instead of focusing in on the negative things that you think you have experienced and find yourself focusing on how you could not have possibly asked for that negative desire, focus on the point that everything comes from desire. Desire is not sinful and bad. Desire does not sidetrack you from the spiritual path. Desire can take you vertically to the heart of God. Focus on that. Don't focus on, I can't believe my desire created that marriage that messed up. I can't believe my desire created that accident. I can't believe my desire created that illness. Don't let your ego focus in on that stuff. Focus in on the fact that if you can create from desire, then all things are possible. All wonderful things are possible. If the good things that happen to you are not dependent on anybody else, but it's coming from your own desire, that's something to rejoice about. That means you're not trapped in any situation. That means no matter what situation you're in, through the power of desire, you could manifest something different. Focus on that. Not the idea that, don't tell me that I had the desire to be robbed. That's a trick. That's a trick. That's a distraction to keep you from focusing on the fact that you are a creator and you are powerful and you could have everything in your life change for the best. And if you are going to create, if you're going to create the way that God does, you have to give up this conflict about desire. And what does giving up the conflict about desire means? How do you do that? You do that by not being afraid of your desires, because you don't have to do any desire. So there's no need to be afraid of having the desire, because you're the one that can decide whether or not you're going to manifest the desire along with your higher power. So you have to let go of your conflicted perceptions about desire, and you will need to transcend that energy of fear. That's why the Course in Miracles is about the undoing of fear. That's why the way of mastery is about the undoing of fear. All great spiritual teachings, they are all about letting go of fear, because it's fear that's blocking your desires. It's fear that's blocking love. Do you hear me, Renew? Do you hear me, Kim? Do you hear me, Jim? Do you hear me, Lynn? If you are to ever create as God creates, you will need to heal your conflicted perceptions about desire. You will need to transcend that energy of fear. There are many who call unto me and pray. There are many who call unto Yeshua, Jesus, and pray. There is not an hour in your time frame in which there are not many upon your plane somewhere on your planet who are praying to me. Yeshua says, Jesus says, somebody's praying to Jesus all the time. Someone is praying to the higher power all the time. And there are people who are praying all over the world who want their hearts to be filled with Christ. That is love. There are people who are all over the planet praying to Yeshua. They want their hearts to be filled with Christ, which is the love. Yet at the same time, do you know that at the same time that these people are praying, they are scared to death of an energy? What kind of energy? That energy in you that wants to move. Like right now, I bet a bunch of you are feeling this energy that's ready for a change, this energy that's ready for a move. I bet there are people right now listening to me, and you feel it within yourself, an energy that wants to move, but you're scared to death of it because you've been taught to fear. You've been taught to suppress desire. Some of you have been taught to suppress desire. Desire is like the liquid of life. Do you know that desire is like the energy? Desire is like the liquid of life that moves through the stem of the rose and allows the petals to radiate with glorious color. When you block the flow of desire, the petals cannot be nourished. When you block your desire flow, what you are cannot be nourished, and then death begins to occur. The death of the heart, the death of the soul, and lifelessness. When you block your desire and you repress your desires and you fear your true desires, it makes you feel dead inside. It makes you feel stagnant inside. Are you with me, mighty companions? Let me know that you're with me now. Send me some emojis. Send me something to let me know you're hearing what I'm saying, that you are with me, that you value what you're hearing right now. Because I'm just like you. I need to know. I need to know you with me. Are you with me? Okay, thank you. So let's keep going. I love it that you're letting me know. If you were to walk down one of your city streets, and to truly look into the eyes of everybody you see, if you were to walk down the street and really look into the eyes of everybody you see, wouldn't you recognize that death seems to have already made a home in the minds of many that are living? You hear that question? If you walk down the street and you look into the eyes of many people, they look dead. They look like the walking dead. There's no life. There's no light. Death of dreams, death of hopes, death of worthiness, death of playfulness, death of true power, and death of union with their source, with their creator, has already taken place. Do you know that there are some people that are walking around and they're just like the living dead? That's why you think zombie movies are so big right now, because of the symbology of it. Zombies are the living dead, people who are out of touch with their desires and out of touch with love, out of touch with themselves as creators, who are just walking around living a programmed life, just trying to exist, seeing themselves as guilty and sinful and bad. Those people are dead. They're dead to their true self. They're dead to who they really are. Everyone who listens to these words has had this experience of seeing other people around them looking like they have no life, no energy. So what does healing require? What is it that healing requires? Well, healing requires the willingness to feel desire. Happiness requires the willingness to feel desire. To see desire as good. Healing comes from seeing desire as good. That means seeing desire as holy. Seeing desire as holy. You're welcome, Linda. Thanks for being here for me. So if you're going to be healed, if you're going to be happy, you're going to have to be willing to feel desire and stop seeing desire as something that you need to repress. See desire as holy. See desire as healing. Does that not mean that if you feel desire, that it might not become twisted by the egoic patterns of your mind? Of course not. In other words, there's always the possibility that your desires are going to be twisted to meet the needs of your ego. There's always the possibility that you may try to twist your desires to meet the need of your guilty mind, your fearful mind. But rest assured, even if you take your desires and you let your ego get hold of your desires, who did it? It was you. You still were the one that was in control. Even if you take your desires and you use your desires to do something that hurts you or to make you feel afraid, that's still you doing it. So that still means you are the one that has the choice about whether or not you actually manifest a desire. So therefore you do not have to be afraid of your desires. So always within you, you already know, always within you, you've known that desire is good. You already know that desire is good, but you suppress it. You suppress your desires. Even though you know desires are good, you suppress your desires. Those times when your desire comes forth, do you know that those times when your desire comes forth and you let your desire become twisted into serving the goals of your ego, whenever you let your desires serve the goal of your ego, you always perfectly well know what you're doing. Even if you give in to a desire that you know is going to cause you pain, you always know perfectly well what you're doing. You were the decision maker. It's up to you which desires you choose to manifest, and you are the one that decides which desires you're going to manifest. The desires that bring you peace or the desires that bring you conflict. You were the decision maker. You are 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 the decision maker. Whew. I am the decision maker. Say that to yourself right now. I am the decision maker. I am the decision maker. I am the decision maker. Say it to yourself. I am the decision maker. Breathe. I am the decision maker. 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 You have learned, what did I say? You have learned, therefore, to fear desire. Because that fear is what? That fear is the effect of fearing yourself, and fearing yourself is what cripples you. Fearing yourself is what cripples you. Fearing desire is fearing the effect. Fear is the effect of fearing yourself, and that is what cripples you. So what has crippled you is you being afraid of yourself. Your fear is the effect of you fearing yourself, and that is what cripples you. And that is what cuts off the creative flow. So what is it that cuts off the creative flow? Being afraid of your desires, being afraid of yourself. That is what leads to everything your world knows as the multitude of psychological diseases. What causes psychological disease? What is it that causes psychological disease? An unwillingness to trust oneself causes psychological disease. Unwillingness to trust yourself causes psychological diseases, which is an unwillingness to love oneself. That's what causes psychological diseases. And the belief that the desires that move up through your being are something evil and dark. So what are the three things that cause psychological diseases? Number one, an unwillingness to trust yourself. Number two, an unwillingness to love yourself. Number three, the belief that your desires are evil and bad. That makes psychological diseases. That's right, Demola, being afraid of ourselves. Geez, what a scary thing to not trust myself. You're right. It is scary not to trust yourself. That's right, Lynn. Fearing yourself is what cripples you. Deborah, and you're making that realization too, huh? Jim, you're making the same realization, and so are you, mighty companion. So let's listen. You think that if only you could stamp your desires and some of your fears out of your being, you think if you could stamp them out of your being, you could remain in control, and everybody would like you. Everybody would like you. If you could just control your desires that you think are bad, you think everybody would like you, and you could remain in control, and everybody would like you because you would conform to the smallness and the littleness that is worshipped in human consciousness. So what does human consciousness worship? Human consciousness worships smallness and littleness. That's what human consciousness worships. Smallness and littleness. That's what the human consciousness worships. So, understand well. Do you know that there's something that the Way of Mastery says that we need to really understand? So what is it that we need to really understand? What is it that you need to really understand? What is it that you need to really understand? The only relationship that holds any value at all is your relationship with God. What did it just tell us? It told us what? The only relationship that's valuable is your relationship with your Creator. The only relationship. And then it said the only relationship that's truly valuable is your relationship with God, your relationship with your Creator. Your relationship with love is the only relationship that has any value. The only relationship that holds any value at all is your relationship with God, your creative source, the depth of the ocean. So right away the mind might say, what? But what about my mate? What about my parents? What about my children? What about the President of the United States? What about the postmaster? What about my cousin? What about my boss? The only relationship, not the relationship with your mate necessarily, not the relationship with your parents, not the relationship with your children. There is no relationship in your life that's more valuable than your relationship with God. There is no relationship with anyone or anything that's more valuable than your relationship with your Creator. Your relationship with your Creator is the most important relationship. Your relationship with the Creator is the most important relationship. Your relationship with the Creator is the most important relationship. Your relationship with your Creator is the most important relationship. Is your relationship with your Creator. That's the most important relationship. You will come up with a million examples of relationships that surely have great importance. The only relationship that holds value is your relationship with God. For what? The only relationship that holds value is your relationship with God. For when your relationship with God is in alignment, when your relationship with God is in alignment, all your creations, all your choices for relationships, and how you will be within all of your creations and relationships will flow effortlessly from the alignment with God. All of your relationships will fall into alignment when your relationship with God is in alignment. All of your relationships will fall into alignment when your relationship with your creator is in alignment. Your relationship to people, your relationship to money, your relationship to your spiritual awakening, your relationship to children, your relationship with everything will fall into alignment when your relationship with God is in alignment. There is no more important relationship for you to work on first than your relationship with the creator, your relationship with God. Therefore, seek first the kingdom. You hear me, John Henry? You know I'm telling the truth. You know I'm telling the truth. You know we right on. I'll say it again. Seek first the kingdom, and all these things will be added to you. Seek God, and all the relationships and the things that are really, really valuable and important that could bring happiness will be added unto you. Do not try to create a rose by starting with the petals, but nourish the roots, and the flower must blossom. Nourish the roots, and the flower must blossom. Nourish your relationship with God, and the flower of your life must blossom. The things in your life will not work out to bring you total joy at any level of permanence unless you put your relationship with God first and stop being afraid of the energy of desire. So what does that mean? If you are to be in right relationship with your creator, if you are to be in right relationship with your creator, if you are to be in right relationship with your creator. So what do you have to do if you're going to be in right relationship with God? What is it that you need to do if you're going to be in right relationship with love? What is it that you need to do if you're going to be in the right relationship? If you're going to be in a right relationship with God, what is it that you need to do? If you're going to be in a right relationship with God, what is it that you need to do? It is absolutely necessary. What's absolutely necessary? To correct your perception. If you're going to be in a right relationship with God, you have to correct your perception. And the Way of Mastery and A Course in Miracles and A Course of Love and all great mystical teachings are all about correcting your perception. In order to be in right relationship with your Creator, it's absolutely necessary to correct your perception and correct your relationship with the energy of desire. If you're going to be in right relationship with God, you got to have a right relationship with the energy of desire. And a right relationship with the energy of desire would be for you not to fear desire or to look at desire as something that is bad or evil. So having a right relationship with the energy of desire, what do you have to do? It begins by releasing your judgment of desire in all of its forms. Stop judging desires. Stop judging your desires and stop judging everybody else's desires. Stop it. Stop judging your desires as bad or evil and stop judging everybody else's desires as bad or evil. Even though I know there's a part of your mind that's going to come up. You mean somebody's desire to attack somebody? No, don't judge that desire. And if you're going to judge that desire, give it love's judgment. Give it Holy Spirit's judgment. And so if that person has a desire to attack somebody, that's their call for help. That's a call for God. That's a call for love. That's not your judgment. That's God's judgment. It says, release your judgment. And what would be your judgment according to the Way of Mastery? What would be your judgment is that the desire is bad or evil and not that the desire is a call for help if somebody wants to hurt or attack somebody. So if you want to have a right relationship with God, what is absolutely necessary? It's necessary that you correct your perception. It's necessary that you correct your relationship with the energy of desire. It begins by you releasing your judgment on desire. For again, you can only be in love or fear. You can only be in love and you can only be in fear. You can only be in love or you can only be in fear. You can only be in innocence or you can only be in judgment. You can only be in innocence or you can only be in judgment. Love and innocence are of the kingdom of love. So love and innocence are of the kingdom of God. What comes from God, what comes from love is innocent. So love and innocence are of God, And fear and judgment are of illusion. Fear and judgment are of illusion. Fear and judgment are of the ego. And love and innocence are of God. They are of the kingdom. So that was Desire is Everything. I'm going to do a quick recap of it. And I'm going to also really focus in on the prayer that we were told to do. Thank you for tuning in to this broadcast, this presentation. I'm Earl Purdy. I'm a full-time teacher, and I teach on a donation basis because I want what I do to be available to everyone, regardless of their financial situation. And so if you'd like to make a financial expression of appreciation, I ask you to make a financial expression of appreciation. Just go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, P-U-R-D-Y, earlpurdy.com. You can also use Venmo, and you could just send it to my email address, earlpurdy@earlpurdy.com. I'm available for one-on-one sessions called Clarity Sessions, where you work with me personally as an advisor and a coach and a mentor. And we can go through and help you work through every block. I'm also a soul purpose astrologer and numerologist, and we can bring all of my gifts and my 40 years of teaching and sharing into a personal one-on-one session with me. It's called a Clarity Session. If you go to my website, www.earlpurdy.com, it will explain my Clarity Sessions in detail. And you can self-book an appointment with me right there on my website. And I also have hundreds and hundreds of classes on video and audio on my website, earlpurdy.com, that you can listen to free of charge. I do 3 Facebook Lives a week, and they're all Mountain Time. And Sundays at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, I teach A Course in Miracles on Facebook Live in front of a live audience here in Denver, Colorado. And on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, we do The Way of Mastery. And on Thursdays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time, I do hardcore Course in Miracles for dedicated Course in Miracles students. And you can see this on Facebook on the Earl Purdy page. That's the name of it, the Earl Purdy page. And if you don't have a Facebook account, then just use this link, www.facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. www.facebook.com/Earl Purdy Live. Thank you, those, especially I'm grateful to all of you, but I'd like to express a deep, heartfelt gratitude to those of you who do make financial expressions of appreciation, as I am a full-time teacher, and this is what I do in the world. It's my calling. So thank you so much. But I appreciate all of you, whether you make a financial expression or not. Don't get me wrong. But I'm especially grateful to those who help me keep this ministry going in a physical, material, practical way. So we heard desire is everything. So the main thing that we heard was everything comes from desire. Everything comes from desire, and desire is good. Desire is good. It's not bad. It's not sinful to have desires. Everything comes from desire. So you have to honor your desires and don't judge your desires. There's no need for you to be afraid of your desires, because just because you have a desire, it does not mean you have to act out that desire. Everything that happens to you is coming from, everything that's happening to you comes from desire. Everything that happens to you comes from desire. You can have a desire that's based in love, or you can have a desire that's based in fear. Did you hear me? So desire is everything. So the first thing you want to do is stop being afraid of your desires. Stop being afraid of your desires. And the next thing that we heard, and another thing that we heard is that you have to feel your desires are good if you want to heal. Don't buy into those old teachings that you've gotten about desire. Don't do that. Don't do that. So what is one of the most powerful things that you must do? Get rid of your conflicts about desire. So what is the prayer? What is the prayer? The only relationship that holds any value at all is your relationship with God. The only relationship that holds any value at all is your relationship with God. The only relationship, the only relationship, the only relationship, the only relationship, the only, I'm a divine repetition teacher, the only relationship that holds any value, is your relationship with God. The one relationship, the only relationship that holds any value at all is your relationship with God. The only relationship that holds any value at all is your relationship with love, your creative source. That's the depth of the ocean. The only relationship that holds any value with God. And do you know, remember this, when your relationship with God is in alignment, that means you're not afraid of your desires, and your only desire is ultimately love. So your desires are no longer out of alignment with God. Then you will see that all of your relationships, everything in your life, will start to flow effortlessly from that alignment with God. From that alignment with God. Seek first the kingdom, and everything else will be added to you. If you are in right relationship with your Creator, if you're going to be in right relationship with God, what's absolutely necessary? It's absolutely necessary to correct your perception and to correct your relationship with the energy of desire. Stop judging your desires. In any of its forms, stop judging desire. Because you can only be in love, or you can only be in fear. You can only be in innocence, or you can only be in judgment. Love and innocence are of God, and fear and judgment are of the ego. Love and innocence are of the kingdom. Fear and judgment are of illusion. My mighty companion, my mighty companions, we just did another way of mastery. This is powerful. I do it in a rhythmatic way because when you are listening back to it, it's easier to hook your attention when it's some rhythm. It doesn't work for everybody, but there are a lot of people that my way of teaching and expressing it works for them beautifully. So I'm here for the people who appreciate the way the truth comes through me. And I know that that's not the way that works for everybody. But remember, you will never please everybody. So just let that go. I have the desire to be helpful, to be truly helpful, and to be truly helpful to those who resonate with the way God love flows through me. That's the way, that's all you can do, is be yourself. Be your authentic self. Mighty companions, you are a joy to me. When I get through doing these live broadcasts, do you know what I do? I listen to it all over again immediately so that I can really hear it, because most of all, I know the lessons are for me. Please share this video. Lynn, I'm glad it works for you. I'm glad those who are letting me know it works for them. That inspires me. Thank you very much. May this course be with you. I'll see you next time. I love you. Mwah.